I'll tell you what, really excited about this. We've got an exclusive with the man himself, Randy T. We all know Randal Tarrant, mate. So good that you contacted us and want to do this. It's a big thing for you. Got some life changes coming up, and we're going to go through your career and before your career.
Yeah, just good opportunity to sort of close the book of the Speedway scene and move on from here, let a lot of people know sort of what we're up to, what we've done, and why we've enjoyed it so much, yeah.
It's hard to believe it's 5 years since we sat at this very table and talked about that incredible night for you at Wanganui.
Yeah, 5 years. So that means it's been 5 years since I've tried to retire. So I've got an extra 5 years of Speedway out of all this that's been going on. But yeah, pretty cool. And obviously we've got a good relationship, you and I. So it's good to be able to talk to someone about it and put it out there.
Well, I remember when you were about 12 years old, mate.
Yeah, we've done a few laps at Miami since then.
Absolutely. So, let's have a look. So, we're going to talk about before Speedway. So, obviously, Beetle was into it, so you knew about it.
Yeah.
What did you do when you were at school? Were you a sports guy or what?
Yeah, so I've always loved my sports, like anything running, out and about, rugby, all that. Played a bit of rugby, enjoyed my rugby quite a lot, but yeah, broke an ankle, recovered from that, went out and played rugby again, broke the other ankle. And so it was time to close the chapter of rugby. I just wasn't built for it. But yeah, and then once all that was done and dusted, we were into the Speedway. That was my only sport once that happened.
So you got smashed at rugby and then had to sit yourself inside a roll cage and get smashed in a stock car.
Yeah. It didn't matter how big you were though, just how big your balls were. So
Absolutely. Mate, mini stocks, unbelievable class. The way that's developed in 25 years or so since Speedway New Zealand brought it in as a youth class. Now we're just absolutely seeing the fruits of that. But let's talk about your early mini stock racing.
Yeah, we didn't have a flash mini stock. We definitely had a good mini stock. We went down south, bought a car off Brandon Parkinson, who races modifieds down south. Went down to Greymouth, bought his mini stock, which at the time I think it was the 1NZ black track car. We didn't know about like the weights of mini stocks and all this and all the technology that's in them now, but it was a heavy old beast, and absolutely loved our mini stock days back in the days where Mini Stocks in Paradise was all just one group, and we were able to qualify for that as like a 14, 15-year-old. I think the best I ever got at Mini Stocks in Paradise was a 6th. But yeah, we didn't have a flash car. We had a consistent, reliable car, and just loved it for what it was, and sort of just followed Beetle around the country. And my mum used to drive me up to Miami, and we'll have a blat there. But yeah, just loved it for what it was. Yeah.
Well, that whole mini stock thing for you has evolved into a massive amount of friendship around the country, and we see that now at big meetings. It used to be once upon a time that it was clubs that would help out other drivers, in your own club if someone was in with a chance of a championship. That whole mini stock genre has changed that completely.
Yeah, that's it sort of goes to show you see a few people talking now about the new era or the modern generation of drivers. I think that started back sort of when I was 13, 14, 15. That generation of mini stock drivers has just progressed through such a competitive group of drivers, and here we are now, with the top 26 cars at all these big meetings, and you made your alliances back then, and in the stock car teams racing, you'll always have a bit more respect for someone that's a teams racer, and then those last couple of seasons of mini stocks, we sort of start getting into it and crashing one another, and you can see the camaraderie and the rivalry and the battles all starting years ago compared to where we are now. So you're with those guys right through. So we're just so lucky to have that competitive group of guys.
One of the things I really love about mini stocks, you get kids that come in, and for the first 2 years they've got no clue whatsoever. They're just driving around. They don't know how to race. Yeah. One day, bang, the light switch goes on, and all of a sudden they're starting to run at the front. Yeah,
well, you see them driving around. Some of them are still in first gear, those first few meetings, and you hear the little engines ringing its tits out, and then, you sort of see them later on in the season, you're like, all right, they're doing something better than what they were last time.
Yeah, and those 5 years, or even if it's 3 years, if you come in at 14 or whatever, so important for when they jump into a senior grade.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's the best thing to happen to Speedway since sliced bread. It's just done wonders for the sport, the numbers and all the classes. Look at TQs now, how competitive that is compared to what it was 6 years ago. It's helping all the classes tenfold, and I mean the drivers, the boys, girls, it doesn't matter. They're all just learning so much skills, and then it comes down to friends out of town as well. Yeah. Some of my best friends are from Auckland, Wellington, they're all over the show. I don't have AA insurance or roadside assistance because I can just ring up any of the Speedway people and say, hey, come pick me up.
You've got that, but also Facebook's really good for that too, right? Because someone just posts on there, hey, I've broken an axle, or I've got a flat tyre, I've done something with a wheel on the trailer. You can guarantee within half an hour someone else travelling there has already gone and responded.
Yeah, definitely. Someone's got a trailer they're not using and will get you out of trouble.
Yeah,
definitely.
it's awesome. So let's move on to Teams Derby racing. That's a long time ago now.
Yeah. So Teams Derby racing, I mean, you got to start somewhere, and I was pretty lucky to be involved with it through Beetle, the Teams Derby racing, like Teams Derby, Mitzi Mirages and Mitzi Lancers and all this and that, and every sort of bit of teams racing that you do, you pick up a trick or a talent and you just keep it in the back of your books. And yeah, pretty lucky to be able to do that early on in my career.
For a while, the old Beats, mate, he lived for that.
Yeah, well, back in the day, it was, you were doing like 6 teams meetings a year. I remember one year I must have been sort of 10 years old or whatever. He had 6 Valiants lined up, 265 Valiants all lined up, painted, ready to go. I'm trying to rebuild a Valiant at the moment and can't find parts for it, and he's got a box with 20 Valiant badges on it, and he should just wreck them all season long. Yeah.
He probably won't sell any of it to you either, will he?
Oh, nothing that he's got left is any good anyway.
Yeah. Was there any spare land down where you guys live, Central Hawke's Bay, that you could have a skid in the car?
So Mum and Dad have a bit of a farm. They got 50 acres down there, and it used to be an old trotting track. It got a bit bumpy, but we always had a paddock or whatever. We'd go down there, black the cars around and have paddock skids, have fun and get the boys around and crash into each other.
But paddock skids are very important.
Yeah, also very dangerous. Beetle broke my arm once in a paddock skid. We were just down the paddock cruising, and he decided just to come out of nowhere and smash me and put my arm through the steering wheel, and the steering wheel spun as he hit the wheel and snapped my wrist in the paddock. Yeah,
he's just teaching you a lesson.
Thanks,
right?
Dad. Yeah.
Be prepared for anything.
Yeah.
What were you driving then?
I think it was like a little Daihatsu Charade, and he was in like a Toyota Camry or something. Yeah.
Good fun. Fun.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to stock cars. You had a great career in stock cars, especially in the teams racing.
Yeah, that's sort of where it all started, I suppose. Put my heart and soul into stock cars and just loved it. I sort of think that's where the reputation started. Went fresh out of mini stock straight into stock cars, and Beetle sold his tank and I sold my mini stock, and we combined the money to buy a decent car, the scooter built. And once he we're 3 meetings into it, I think, and I was in a runoff with a Rotorua guy and won the runoff, and I was like, right, we're into it now. Like, I love it. Like, I was always scared and worried something would happen, but I just wanted to keep chasing that scared and worriedness, and stock cars is where it all started.
Well, it showed you cared. I can remember interviewing you a long time back when you started stock cars, and I can remember asking you, what's your goal? And you said, I want to make the Maulers team. That was your goal. That was everything.
Yeah, I wanted to be the best in the Maulers team and win some stuff with the Maulers, and we just progressed through. And I think the next season after I started stock car teams racing, we were straight into the Maulers. And loved it. Like, got a season to teams race with my dad. That was real cool. Only 1 season, but the price and all of it as well, it took its toll, but that was cool. And then it was great to race with Brett Loveridge, and between him and I, we were just on the same page. Like, we'd travel to all the big meetings, we'd love teams racing, and we'd just go hard week in, week out, just get into it and love it. And like I said earlier, like, every time you went out that gate, you learned something to not do next time or to do that next time, and you just got to memory bank that stuff and keep going.
And there was no one better than Brett. He was really the man at Meoni at that time. His car preparation, everything was spot on. Then he had that season where he won 5 championships in 1 season, or I always remember that, 5 regional titles. Then unfortunately he had that car accident and that put him out for a little while. But in that era, he was the man.
Yeah, he was. He was great to race with. Like, a sort of a bit stink I didn't get to race with him in the Hawkeyes, because me and him, we're on the same wavelength, We'd just go out there and we'd know exactly what he would do, and he would know exactly what I would do, and we won a lot of meetings together. Credit to the rest of the team as well, but you're in for something good when you've got some guy on the same wavelength to go out there and just hammer and tow. Yeah.
If you'd changed that A to a B, you could have.
Could have, yeah, but yeah.
And that leads me to the next question. How the hell did you afford it all?
Oh, yeah, I was pretty lucky to live at home. I think I lived at home till I was 25 or 26, rent-free from my parents in the shed. All the tools and that were in the shed, just ready to go. And, I put my full paycheck went into Speedway for about 8 years in a row there, I suppose, from the time I got a job to the time I moved out. And without my parents letting me live at home rent-free, there would have been no Speedway or no Randy T66 or none of that. So yeah, pretty fortunate to be in that situation of having the shed with everything in it, and then being able to live, I'd get home after work, straight in the shed. Mum would cook dinner. I'd have dinner, back out in the shed. Like, I put in the hard work, but they were allowing me to do it, on our budget. Yeah.
It's pretty lucky that old Beats had a good home kill business as well, because I bought a few pigs off him, mate, and he was able to give you the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, he couldn't weld or like be a good mechanic because we saw how rough his gear was. So he helped me out in other places. But yeah, super lucky. I mean, yeah, 8 years of paychecks into Speedway. I mean, that's really what got me to where I am to build up the ladder. Yeah.
And who did you have crewing for you back then?
Back then, didn't really have too much of a crew in the stock cars. It sort of struggles to get its momentum in stock cars opposed to Superstocks because the buzz and the hype just isn't quite as there. But once Beetle stopped racing, obviously it was me and Dad went everywhere. And then Paul the plumber, he would come around and, help us out. But when it come down to like steelwork, I sort of just did it all ourselves. Sam Barry, he'd always help me out with steelwork. But mechanically wise, I was an apprentice mechanic, qualified mechanic. I just did most of it ourselves, and that was the only way we could afford to do it, really.
Yep.
Learn how to weld yourself and get all the steel and that through Sam at cost, and just go hard, and if it falls apart, well, make it a bit better next time. Yeah.
And was it hard to get regular crew?
Yeah, in stock cars it was. Beetle and I kind of just got to the point where we operated so well together, we didn't need anyone else. Like, if it's not fucked, don't fix it. Just
but it does take more than 2 people.
It does. It's helpful to have 2 people, but it's easy to have hangers-on that don't know what they're doing. So it kind of got to the point. You go away for a 2-day weekend of racing, it's more of a hassle having someone there that doesn't really know what they're doing.
Right.
They get in the way. You've got to go to a workshop the next day. You've got another pair of hands that you've got to look after, feed. We never had the budget to be able to afford to do it like that. We're always staying on someone's couch or like the cheap motels. It was easier when it was just me and Dad. We'd drive over to Taranaki, race all night, Stratford, and then drive all the way back over here after the racing. Just have turns at driving, stopping for a feed here and there. And I remember one night we got all the way back to Takapau, and I said, "Bro, I can't drive, and I got like 10 kilometres to go. We're just gassed out."
That, even back to Central Hawke's Bay, it's a huge drive from Stratford.
Yeah, but back then though, we just loved it, like you just went so hard, and that's what you lived to do, and he loved it, I loved it, and we just made it happen,
And that's one of the things that does burn out a racing career, is that travel, because at the beginning it's so exciting, new tracks, you just want to go there, and it's so cool and really awesome, exciting, as I said. But then eventually it's like, oh man, we've got to, the driving there, fine, because you've got the meeting to go.
Excited.
That's the exciting part.
Yeah.
You've got to drive home.
Yeah, 100%. And now obviously having a little Rilo, makes me realise like how tired you can actually get and physically drained you can get, and I can see why people stop for a sleep on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Because once that half an hour adrenaline dies down after a race meeting and you've got to drive home from Wellington or whatnot, you get pretty tired pretty quickly.
Got that big pot of coffee, mate.
Yeah, you got to have that spare driver.
Yeah. How old's Rilo?
He's almost 2.
Yeah.
And he loves it.
A little dirt rat.
Yeah, he's going to be a little dirt rat.
I raced one as well, except I was in the combox and she was the dirt rat out in the pits hanging around the mini stock cars, So, right, we're going to move on to super stocks, man. You hit the pinnacle. That was unbelievable. And you've already talked about how it was hard to make it pay, how it was hard to make, to get the budget to be able to do it. But you made that massive jump, and it was a massive jump, to super stock racing.
Yeah, so we ended up, when we bought the super stock, we'd originally tried to leave Speedway. Like, I was meant to retire, we were done. Had a relationship breakup at the time, and I was like, fuck, we've still got to have fun and live. So I was like, we'll buy a super stock, let's go. Bought the super stock and just never looked back there for a few years. Just loved it so much and just committed to it full bore. And obviously, you jump in super stocks, what you want to do is make teams champs. You want to make the team, and we did that the first season we had the car, and never looked back since.
I don't know the lady that you broke up with. Thanks for that. So that basically changed your whole mindset. And then here you are racing super stocks. Amazing.
So we were meant to retire way back then, 7 years ago now. I think I've been doing super stocks for 7 years. Tried to retire 7 years ago to build a house on a property and didn't quite do it. But not one piece of regret whatsoever. I'm pretty lucky and privileged the way it's all panned out. I
know we've touched on the New Zealand title before, but it's been 5 years. You might have a slightly different perspective look at it now.
Yep. Still one of the greatest weekends of my life. I mean, we'd be
still the greatest speech in history.
The emotion almost got the best of me. But we'd just been enjoying that year. Obviously, I didn't own the car at the time when we won the 1NZ. Puneet owned it, obviously thanks to Puneet. for all that. But yeah, we'd been at R&V, we'd preloaded the car, checked the car before we went to Wanganui, and it was just a cruisy weekend. Like, we were there just to enjoy it, have fun, and the way it just panned out, you couldn't have planned it better, and we didn't plan a thing. I mean, we were sleeping in the ute, trying to play catch up on the Zeds before we went racing. You're not meant to do that before racing.
I remember you saying that you stuck the car on the track, went out there and practiced. When you came in, you said to Beats, I think we've got a chance here. This car's on. Yeah.
So Cole Fraser and Stace Fraser had been helping us with a bit of setup and geometry from back when they were 1NZ in 2008. And he goes, your car's like the same wheelbase, it's just slightly different diff setup, just do this and see what happens. And yeah, we drove off the track at practice and we were like, holy, that's the best it has ever gone. And I said, we're in here, like, we're on to something. Yeah.
But because you really did become a small track, slick track specialist.
Yeah, that car just loved the tight little tracks, and it wasn't a lesser horsepower engine, it was just a controllable horsepower. Instead of throwing all this money at it, we had a nice curve range, and Llama just did wonders with that. That was the first engine Llama ever built for Superstocks, and it was all hand ported heads, and it was just a great, reliable, driver friendly engine, which just came into its own on small slick tracks and Rotorua as well. Loved the 240s, loved the NZs up there. Just that combination just works so well. And you look at the new Res cars now, they've gone shorter and made them a little bit wider, and makes me wonder, because Barney ended up there, if they've sort of taken some measurements off Barney.
Yeah. Wow, cool. Yeah. And you would have grown Llama's brand considerably after that.
Yeah, well, we were good. We had a good relationship from the start anyway, and then to do that for them was pretty cool. And then after that, he's really looked after me really well with the ongoing engine rebuilds, any other issues we had, small issues. We've just built a great relationship, and other engine builders approach you and say, do you want to link up and sell our brand? But I couldn't ever turn down what he done for me after I've helped him out. You just rub each other's back. Yeah.
And then you obviously get people that go, it's a one-off, blah, 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 that was a fluke, you're always going to get that. But 12 months later in Rotorua, you almost got a podium with 4th place.
Yeah, and that's sort of like my little quiet achievement, that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got a 4NZ in the same car, not a huge dollar car, just good controllable power. And I spun myself out in one of the races and still got 4th, so I was actually gutted. I don't even watch that meeting on YouTube or anything. I was so gutted. But it would have meant another season trying to not give up. And then, sponsors come on board sort of after that one, and we bought that other car, yeah.
Talking about Paneet, where is the fastest Indian in Speedway?
I'm not too sure at the moment. He's still in Hawke's Bay, but yeah, he just didn't have the mechanical knowledge or the shed at his house to sort of keep it going and do all that for himself, which was a bit of a shame, because his heart and soul was into the sport there for a couple of years, and it was cool to have him around and him learning it. But I think from my perspective to his perspective, it was just so hard to go straight to Superstocks and finish 3 races in a night. Everyone out there has got years of experience behind them, and you've got someone that's never even done a drift or a burnout trying to control a 500 horsepower car with guys that know what they're doing. Like, it's just hard work.
I remember him telling me that all his family back home were like watching live streams and stuff, and like, what are you doing, Penny? What the heck is this?
I remember his dad used to ring him up and say, it's too dangerous, you can't do that, or something like that. Yeah.
I remember one night the car went out the gate, and obviously I thought it was you, because no transponder change or anything, and it was just a nightmare on track. It wasn't at the back spinning out, and I'm like, Randy's having a terrible night. And then about the second race, someone comes up and goes, oh no, it's actually Paneet. And I'm like, who's Paneet? I didn't even know who it was.
The fastest Indian.
Superstock teams, mate, you've had some great success there.
Yeah, loved Superstock teams. As I say, once we got that Superstock, that was the goal, just to go hard and get to that podium. I always thought Superstock teams was achievable to win that with the right guys. I never thought 1NZ was achievable, so that was like something I'd never dreamed of. But that first year, what did we do with the Hawkeyes? We come 3rd, we come 2nd, and then we come 1st. And when we come 2nd, I made a huge mistake in the final, and it might have cost us. We were a car down on lap 1. I went in for a kill shot and wrecked our chances and wrecked my car anyway. And then the year after, to put ourselves back in that position and then to win it, and I'd learned from that. I wasn't going to go out there and kamikaze my car this time, because you can't do that. That was pretty cool as well, to get straight in there and come 3rd, 2nd, 1st, to climb the ladder with the Hawkeyes. That's right up there with my great.
Well, 2016, when the Hawkeyes won it the first time, I had never actually been to a Teams Champs, ever.
Yeah,
I can't believe I hadn't been to one.
Yeah.
And I remember when the guys went out for the final, I was probably more nervous than they were. And parts of it, I couldn't even watch it.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, it was like, holy crap, the boys have done it. And then the Hawkeyes had that amazing 5-year run with 3 titles and a second and a third in between as well.
Yeah, well, that's the love of the sport comes into it. No, you back the club so hard and you just love it so much. It's pretty exciting when of all those years of not doing well. Like I was there then watching all those years of never did well, and then that's the when Jace, Stanaway, Judy and those boys, Quinn, started winning and not getting any damage, and Mike Mack to finish a meeting with no damage. I mean, that's where the modern era of the driving started. It changed Teams Champs.
And you can see, even 5 years later, when the Hawkeyes are called out on a parade or anything, that fan support is still there.
Yeah, 100%. Like they changed it. They changed the way it went and how it happens, and other teams look at it and go, how did Mike Mack get to the final and have no damage? Like they had one flat tyre the whole weekend, I think. That's unheard of at Teams Champs, but you look at other teams that win and make the final, there's no damage.
Yeah,
you got to protect those cars now. Yeah.
And that new 6-car rule, mate, that's changed it completely.
Tenfold. How good was the Teams Champs just been? That first night of racing was unbelievable. I remember just jaw dropping watching those first few races. Like, holy, here we go.
Yeah, because everyone knows that you can go out and you can lose a car. It doesn't matter. You've still got 5 cars, 5 drivers.
Yeah, you're not going to let your team down because you've got 2 spares. So
yeah. And I think next year we'll see it elevate even more because of that.
Yeah.
Obviously, you made that jump to the All-Stars, and there was a few people probably quite a lot of people in Hawke's Bay, me included, that went, what the hell's Randy doing?
Yeah. Well, it's the same again. I was meant to sort of retire there for a little bit and give up because I really couldn't afford to race Superstocks competitively without good sponsorship and whatnot. So Salted Cartage and Lofty was taken up there as well. Lofty got my foot in the door for some Salted Cartage sponsorship. And once he come on board and threw some money around, it was tyres, fuel, race overalls, like heaps of stuff to get the cars going for the season, competitively going. I couldn't say no. It was either don't race Superstocks or go race for Auckland and we'll help you out. So it was an easy decision because I just loved it so much. But it was pretty stink to leave the Hawkeyes after we had a good group of guys together and we were going pretty good. But yeah, as I say, I wouldn't be racing if I didn't make the move.
Yeah, and so Panit owned Spanky. Barney.
Yeah.
And then you went out and purchased Spanky.
Yeah, so the season after we went and tried to defend our 1NZ title at Rotorua, after that 1NZ defend meeting, we were done for about 4 months, I think it was, and then a couple of sponsors were like, oh, what are you up to now? And I was like, oh, we're still trying to build that house, like we're going to get that sorted. They're like, no, you've got to get another car. So Ethan Rees was still racing his car, and I approached him and for a roller because Lama would help us out for engine. Rees Race Cars looked after us with a good deal on the car. They swapped all the firewall over, re-steeled it, and yeah, by the end of that season, we had Spanky sitting in our shed ready to put together in the off season. So yeah, a few great sponsors jumped on board, and Mum and Dad, Uncle Russ, the Levines, Lama, like it was a whole lot of people got involved to get that car across the line and get it ready for the next season. Yeah.
So it was almost like going from Barney to Spanky was almost old school, new school.
Yeah, big, huge setup differences. Barney, I used to weight jacket, measure the distance on the wheels from the concrete pad, put the jack in the certain spot, and then I tried to do that on Spanky, and it just slid off the weight jack because it had the weight of the car was so much more offset, and it just didn't work. So had to learn a whole lot really quickly. Had to buy some scales, like never had scales before then. And yeah, so learned all the geometry and stuff of it, but the sort of emphasis changed on the enjoyment because with Barney, it was like there was no expectation. It was go out there, enjoy it for what it is.
But that changed after you won the New Zealand title.
It did, yeah. And once that happened, and then we got the new fast car, everyone expected me to win everything, expected me to do well, and I didn't enjoy that. I didn't like having the expecting to do this, expecting to do that. I used to like coming 5th and 6th in Barney, like in a tough group of cars in my old car, my old 2-bar. That was more enjoyable than everyone wanting me to do so well in this new car. Like, don't get me wrong, I love driving it. But yeah, the enjoyment of the sport sort of changed a little bit after that 1NZ season. Because the pressure just got too much. You were trying to please too many people, and I just wanted to button off. And it's not really this season. I've had quite a busy season this season, but the season before, we just went into like mute mode. We went quiet. We just out of the spotlight because that 1NZ season took it out of me. And I give it to Asher, you know, like to do 3 years in a row, you can see why you turn down some interviews and you don't really worry about merch like too much. It is very full on. I mean, Speedway's the only sport you can get all the people in the crowd come up and talk to you at your car.
Yeah.
How are you? I mean,
Absolutely.
How many times do you want to say hello before the race thing starts?
And then you get a commentator stick his microphone in your face when you're doing something vital on the car.
Yeah.
So when you won that New Zealand title, though, that elevated you to superstar status. Because let's be real here. There's lots of classes in New Zealand Speedway, but the Superstock title is the one. It's the most popular one. It has the biggest fan base. When you won that, everybody knew who you were, because a lot of people didn't.
Yeah.
You know, the ones that didn't follow teams racing, who's Randal Tarrant? Who the hell's this guy?
Yeah.
What's he doing winning a New Zealand title? And then you did sell a lot of merchandise.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'd barely qualified for anything, you know. If it was on a big track, I didn't qualify for much in that little car. And then, the merch that we did, Zach designed it and made a pretty sweet one. That black and pink merch just went bonkers. Basically, that merch funded for the majority of my UK trip. It just went nuts, you know. And I still get people messaging me now saying, hey, can we do like a reprint of the Randy T 1NZ merch? And if I ever come back or whatnot, you know, you might do like a reprint of it and whatnot, because that took off big time. Yeah, I have friends overseas sending me photos in airports and everywhere. So, who's this hoodie bro? Like, oh, let's check this out. Like, they're still going pretty hard out. So that was cool, like real cool. But yeah, me and my wife did all that at home, like in our spare room. It took its toll, like
unreal.
Just the organising and the relationship stress. Like, it was cool. Don't get me wrong. We just made it happen. We didn't have a little fella then, so we just late nights, post send, and it took off for that whole season. It was wicked.
You know, the people sitting in the crowd have no idea how much it takes to be a speedway racer and what's involved when you're not there.
Yeah, definitely. That 1NZ season was real tough, like along with the merch and wanting to race every week in, week out. I think we had a little engine issue once, and we had it at Meaning. We drove back to Waipuck. We took the engine out and put it on the side of the road to meet the Levine bus. On the side of the road, we're craning this engine into one of their bus bays so they could take it to Wellington for us. Like, you're 1NZ, like, you just do whatever it takes to get going. It was a dream come true, so it didn't matter, like, get it done. That's all that mattered.
That would have motivated you no end.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, like, we left the meeting the second the problem happened, straight back to the shed, engine out. By the time they had done their 3 races in the rest area, pushing this thing in the side of this bus. Like, I'll never forget that season. Yeah, awesome. I'll never ever forget it.
You would have so many cool memories of just random stuff that went on, you know, during your career, and some of the things you got up to that you probably can't say on the microphone now in front of a camera, you know, but that's all part of Speedway. It's just so much fun. Yeah,
we got to enjoy it as well, you know, the after functions and that. I'd love to have a good time and like with the boys, and you travel somewhere, you see all your good mates out of town, and you just push the boat out that little bit further, and the drive home isn't fun, but you only live once.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Mate, All-Stars, 2 years of heartbreak at the teams.
Yeah, it's been a pretty cool climb with those boys though, you know, we sort of got there. It wasn't easy. We've had drivers come and go a few times, but the core of us stuck together, and they could sort of see the process we were building towards. And once we sort of bet, the turning point was when we bet Gisborne the first time. The rest of the boys were like, far out, like, we're onto something here, like, we can actually do this. And then from that one time, we've just boom, we're all on the same page, we know exactly what to do. And that has been such an enjoyable climb the ladder process that I've just loved every second of racing for Auckland.
Well, every time I invade your pit area, you know, NZ Superstocks, you guys are always upbeat. There's always stuff going on. You never seem too stressed about stuff in that camp. And you can see the following that you guys are getting, especially last year with the heartbreak of Cody Mack, you know, with that gear lever. That was just everybody's heart sunk for that one. And I remember trying to get an interview with you, and you didn't want to talk, and then I think I actually did, and you were tearing up. It just showed what it meant. I
love Speedway so much, you know. That's just how much I love it. But poor Cody to be put in the hot seat 2 years in a row. I kind of just look past it now and just look at the fact if we put our team in that position 2 years in a row with no damage to make that final, like we were on, you know, if it went through, we had everything we needed to make it happen. We just needed luck on the race.
I know you're not going to be there next year, but then you never say never, do you?
This isn't retirement, this is a hiatus. So you never know what's going to happen in a couple of years.
You never know. You heard it right here. This is an exclusive, remember? I know when the All-Stars go out on that grand parade on Friday night, the biggest cheer will be for you guys, or for those guys, if you're not there.
Yeah. No, they we've definitely got a good following of that up there. And when we won Auckland Teams Nationals, I didn't realise sort of how many oldies there were following that team for years and years, and then they're going, we've won it, we've done it, like, because that was the big meeting for them back in the day, you know. And then it was just a real club atmosphere, like just so good, so cool to have some enjoyment and some achievements before I left the club. I'm so stoked that I've been able to leave them in a great position instead of a bad position, you know. It's just part of how good it's been, yeah.
And you're going to get to hold that title for another 12 months?
Yeah, I see that. It was a bit stink. The boys are actually a bit upset about that because they love that meeting. You know, that's their home track. They know exactly where to not be and where to be. And it's a bit of a shame. Hopefully it doesn't lose its momentum because, you know, when the Peter Barry's rained out for a few years in a row, it's sort of lost its nous. Hopefully that doesn't happen because it is a good meeting, but it does need a bit of a revamp or something needs to happen. Yeah,
well, maybe with the redevelopment of the stadium, hopefully the council up there plays ball and it gets done in a reasonable amount of time, and they have a season next year and the stadium's better. It can be a bigger event.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so, I mean, look at Palmy, you know, the place sells out, the atmosphere is ridiculously good. If we can replicate that somewhere else and do that meeting twice a year, then you can't go back. I mean, you get the bums on seats, the drivers will wreck their cars, you know, but the drivers aren't going to go out there and wreck their cars if the money's not there.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so we're going to move on with racing with the modern era drivers. So you basically came in at that time of the old school drivers that knew nothing about mini stock racing, hadn't come from that background, to that new era of all these young guys coming through.
Yeah, well, back in the Maulers when it was Mike Mack, Beetle Tarrant, Marty Cook, Regan O'Brien, me and Brett Loveridge.
No single mini stock driver
mini stock drivers there. Their motto was they used to spin themselves out purposely on the first lap, so they would be the blocker. So you'd get Beetle, Mike and Regan all purposely spinning out on the first lap so they could fall into a block roll. And 9 times out of the 10, it was either Marty Cook running or I think it was Ricky Kuru, you know. Yeah. The mentality and the mindset back then was just completely different to what it is now.
Absolutely.
And then, this modern generation of drivers that have come through that can do the work on the track, not wreck their cars and keep going. Well, that's why Teams Champs is as good as what it is this day and age, I think.
And cars are 3 times, 4 times what they were worth 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, we're going twice as fast, and you don't have like 1 or 2 good drivers in a team. You've got 6 good drivers that all deserve to be there, and they could all win it. I mean, you could Stratford, they deserve to win the meeting as well. They were going so well. Rotorua the last couple of years, you know, they've sort of come out of nowhere a little bit, and then all of a sudden they have these massive seasons where they just bring it all together. And that's it. It's so good for the sport to have all these teams that can actually win it, but to have all these young guys coming through of doing the mini stock racing, it's changed the team tactics and the mentality of smash the car and put him up the fence and the wall. It's just block him, do your job, don't wreck your car, like calm down and just get the points, get the race and win it. You know, it's changed it. Yeah, the highlights reels aren't what they used to be 10 years ago.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Speedway New Zealand doesn't get a lot of things right. Yeah, you can quote me on that. But they absolutely got the mini stock thing right for the youth.
100%, yeah. It's the best thing to happen to Speedway ever, you know. It's just been so great. I mean, you got the next young guns coming through, Trent James, like Ryan Marshall. There's these guys that are a season into Superstocks and they're already in the top teams around the country. So the future's looking pretty promising. Just, need to get a few more numbers, I think, yeah.
Hawke's Bay's got really good numbers for mini stocks. We had 30 plus cars last night.
Yeah, and the young Hawke's Bay lads are all doing pretty well at MIP and out of town, so future's looking pretty promising for a track like Hawke's Bay, yeah.
Yeah, and we get someone like young Tom Steele, who's, I'm convinced is going to be one of the top TQ drivers in the country.
Yeah, definitely. It's a shame he sort of didn't get into a stock car or super stock because he's seen his attitude from time to time and he's got the right attitude to be a good stock car driver.
Yeah, he's pretty fearless. Yeah. Doesn't take prisoners, but he's not paying the bills either.
Yeah, he's a good little peddler, yeah.
Look, we're going to move on now. So what now for Randal Tarrant? What's going on?
We're moving to Australia, you know, just sort of, if me and my family, we don't do something different now, we'll still be in the exact same situation in 10 years' time. So, as I say, I've been trying to retire for a few years now. It's easier said than done. Like Jordan Dare, we're on the same page. We've had a few chats from time to time, and life changes. Like we've been lucky enough to achieve what we've wanted to achieve. We've done it since we were 12 years old. And if I don't make a change now, then I'll literally be doing the exact same thing as what we're doing now in 10 years' time. So I'm just lucky to achieve what I've wanted to do, and we'll make a change. Hey, if I come back in 5-10 years time and I've still got the bug, then we'll get back into it. But as for now, it's just to like close that chapter of Speedway and tick that box and on to the next thing.
So in 2 or 3 months' time, you're making the shift over to Western Australia?
Yep, at the end of this month, we're moving to Perth. Right. I've been told to take my race bag with me, so we're getting all that cleaned and ready for quarantine. We're not too far away from the Perth Motorplex, so we'll get down there. Awesome. One of Beetle's old friends, Jeff Munro, he's got a young fella over there. They organised the Aussie Mini Stock New Zealand series. I'm going to link up with him and get down and spin some spanners for his young fella one night, and cool. he reckons he'll be able to get a skid over there. But hey, I really just want to settle into a good job first, impress the people I'm going to work for, and then worry about having a bit of fun later on.
So you're going to rent your house out here, go and rent over in Australia. Yep. What is it for work-wise? What's going to happen?
Work-wise, so we'll rent our house out here. We've got some friends living over there that have a spare room for us. So we're going to move in with them. We'll see how that goes, and then just look for our own place for the time being. Just applied for a few diesel mechanic jobs, whether it's fly in, fly out of the mines or in the city. Got little Rilo, 2 years old. I sort of want to still spend as much time as possible with him. But we're just going to give ourselves 2 weeks up our sleeve and qualified diesel mechanic, and there's 450 diesel mechanic jobs available on Seek in Perth, so I don't think I'm going to have a problem finding a job. Yeah.
So as long as they're going to pay well, if there's a lot of competition, obviously sometimes that brings that price down. But
it'll be a good experience as well. I've never left Central Hawke's Bay my whole life, and to get out and do something now before Riley gets a bit older, and just financially establish ourselves a little bit better, and be a great experience nonetheless. Hey, if it doesn't work out, then we'll come back.
And of course, your wife's got plenty of qualifications. You could be a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah, well, that'd be ideal. I'll stay-at-home dad, do perkies, get a 9 till 3 job, do the kindy drop-offs,
hang out with Rilo.
Easy peasy.
Awesome.
Yeah, easy peasy.
Huge change
for
a Superstock champ.
Yeah.
Hey, go back to Central Hawke's Bay. What did you do as a teenager in Central Hawke's Bay? What was the nightlife sort of deal?
Drive up here to Turks or the Thirsty Whale in the back of a Mazda Bongo van with the boys and get into it.
No different to Speedway then?
No different to Speedway. But no, Speedway probably kept me too busy. Didn't really have too many big stuff much to do down there. You sort of stay out of trouble down there. And, the group of friends you surround yourself with, we were rugby, and then Speedway. You had your 15 mates or whatever that did the same sport, and that was who you hung out with. We were all so busy to do stupid things, it didn't matter.
What was old Beats like if you did something wrong?
Oh, he was there most of the time because he used to coach a bit of the rugby and obviously at the Speedway as well, and it was usually me having to drive him home, He's my sober driver for the next few years. But bad boys don't get good things.
You must have a tolerant mum.
I've pushed the limit sometime and figured out where the limit is. So I've been put in my place a few times.
I'm sure you have. She was probably the hard one of the family.
She was. Yeah, definitely.
Anyone who can put up with all those Jags in the bloody backyard.
Yeah, there was like 62 derby cars in the paddock at one stage, and Peter got the hard word to get rid of them. So it's all fun and games down in Central Hawke's Bay.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to miss you, mate.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit sad. It definitely wasn't plan A to go over to Australia, but it's how it's all sort of panned out. So, we'll give it a crack. Hey, it is what it is. Yeah.
Are you still going to be here in 3 weeks' time for the Peter Barry?
No, we fly out on March the 22nd. We're out of here.
Well, that was terrible timing because that's the night it starts.
No, I won't be hanging around for that. Mrs. will be devastated if I miss the flight for some more Speedway.
I'm sure she would. But you've got fond memories of that event.
Yeah, 100%. You were lucky enough to win that with the Maulers at one stage. It used to be great. Well, it is a great meeting.
That was a while ago.
It's a great meeting. Yeah, I love that, and having the relationship with Pete and Sam Barry, it's pretty special to me. And obviously the scooter shed at Miani that's donated by the Barry family.
Yep.
I'm actually working for Sam Barry at the moment. He employed me for 3 months while I figured out what we're doing, and he's pumping away down in Central Hawke's Bay. Yeah, he's a busy boy.
Well, I don't know if Andrea's contacted him yet, because I got hold of Andrea last week and I said that the meeting's coming up again. Is she able to come out? She said she's away. She was going to let Sam know, so you can do that for us.
My job. Yeah, I'll hassle him.
We've got to have at least one Barry there,
Yeah, definitely. Hey, really good.
It's always a good event, and we raise a lot of money for Napier Riding for the disabled with the auction shirt as well.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I think we've covered just about everything from the beginning to the end, but there must be something still in the back of your mind that you want to chat about.
Oh, just so many people to thank, like my career, especially Superstock, so I definitely wouldn't have been able to afford it without the help of so many people. Like over all the years, sponsors come and go, it's going to be too hard to list them all, but and my mum and dad as well. You know, I'm just so grateful and thankful to be able to experience Speedway the way I've experienced. Like, we got into it and we didn't just do club nights or race here or there. We went hard. The second we got stock cars, we went weekend. Like, we just raced. But that's what we love doing. So there's just so many people to thank over all the years, and to make it as enjoyable as what it was for me to have that experience. I just can't thank everybody enough.
Where's all your trophies and sashes right now?
They will be in the shed getting stored. Yeah, gonna put everything in the shed, lock it all up, and be pretty safe. Not that there's much in there anymore now that the car's gone.
Have you still got your race suit and helmet from the title win?
Yep.
Never get rid of those.
No.
They just sit away. They'll become museum pieces one day, you know.
Yeah. They are just stored away in a nice dry area. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I pretty much think we're done, mate. And I just want to thank you for coming here tonight and for asking us to do this. Thanks to Blake Speedway for filming this as well, giving up his time. Mate, it's been a pleasure commentating you from the time you started when you were 12 through to now. It's been near on 20 years, hasn't it?
We've got a personal relationship, so it's pretty good to be in this situation. Closing that chapter, so that's good that's done and dusted, and there's more just to let the people know and the fans know and the sponsors know. It's so hard to say thanks to everybody individually. But thanks once again.
I know we're going to get a lot of hits on this, man. We did 5 years ago. We're going to do that again. It's going to go off the scale. And hey, cheers. Here's to the new era of Randy T and everybody.
Bloody good. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.